Plastic is everywhere around the world. About 300 million tons of plastic is produced globally each year. Only 10% of that is actually recycled. What happens to the other 90%? It all ends up in the oceans and gets pulled away by currents. Most of the plastic end up in what is commonly known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is about twice the size of Texas, and there's about 8,818.49 tons of plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Plastic pollution affects marine life, marine habitats, and human life as well.
Every year, about 300 million tons of plastic is produced globally, and 12 million tons of plastic is dumped in the ocean every year. Only 9% of the plastic that we make is actually reused and recycled. This is enough plastic to fill up one garbage truck every minute. One way plastic enters the ocean is through the landfills. Plastic that we don't recycle ends up in landfills, and the wind picks up the plastic and carries it to the ocean because plastic's really light. Plastic litter is also another way plastic could enter the ocean. Plastic litter is carried by the wind just like plastic in the landfills, and they get carried to drainage networks and rivers. Rivers is also one of the major ways plastic enters the ocean. About 1.15 to 2.41 million tons of plastic enters the ocean through our rivers. 80% of the plastic that gets to the ocean through our rivers comes from Asia. The way plastic gets to the ocean is through our drains. Microplastic exists in a lot of our beauty products, and when we wash the beauty products off of our face, they go through the drain, and most of our drains end up in the ocean.
Animals can get small pieces of plastic stuck in their bodies, causing them to be affected by the toxins or choke due to the size of the plastic looking like the size of their food. Animals can get stuck in the plastic that comes on packs of cans, causing them to get stuck and suffocate due to it wrapping around their necks. Plastic can also get stuck in coral reefs, causing the toxins to kill it and not able to sustain the life that lives there.
Microplastics are another type of plastic pollution. Microplastics are small fragments of plastic less than 5 millimeters in length. Another form of microplastics are microbeads. Microbeads are small beads of plastic commonly used in beauty products and toothpaste. Microplastics and microbeads can easily pass through the intestines and bloodstream of animals who ingest them. This makes microplastics accumulate in the animal's vital organs. Microplastics in animals can increase the chance of a molecule being toxic to their brain. As for humans who ingest the animals that have a large concentration of microplastic, it can increase the growth of breast cancer cells.
Why should we care about plastic pollution?
And so plastic pollution is a large problem both in the oceans and on land. The main problem with it is it's killing our marine organisms. And as a whole food web, we are all connected to each other. So if we lose a portion of our food web and our marine organisms, it's going to have a negative impact on us.
Do you think that if we were to ban the use of common plastic items that we use in our everyday lives, like straws, what would help that reduce plastic pollution?
I definitely think reducing plastic consumption in your everyday life will help the animals and the environment. The biggest thing is that to reduce the amount of plastic that's being produced, there needs to be less of a demand from consumers. So if we are not buying as many plastics, then they won't produce as much, and then that will lead to less waste in the environment. So anything you can do to reduce plastic use should have a positive impact.
What do you think is most impacted by plastic pollution?
I would say that marine organisms are most impacted by plastic pollution because a lot of the plastic ends up dumped into the oceans. And so for those of you who have seen the Plastic Paradise documentary, there is an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean that's twice the size of Texas, full of trash, plastic waste, and so that is affecting a lot of the organisms. And also with the smaller plastics, they're consuming them and they contain a lot of chemicals, which then are hurting them, and those get passed up the food chain.
Do you think that plastic pollution has a big impact on humans?
I do think it has a big impact on humans, especially for those who eat any sort of seafood. almost all fish that they find now, they find microplastics inside, and those microplastics are what have chemicals. The other impact to humans is a lot of things that we use that are plastic also contain the same chemicals. So a lot have BPA, they have neurotoxins in them, and so just by handling different plastics, we then are exposed to those chemicals.
Do you think that if we recycle water bottles, that it will help reduce the plastic pollution?
Definitely recycling water bottles will help reduce pollution because they can reuse that plastic to make more plastic. The one thing I would say about recycling though is that a lot of bottles, even if you buy a bottle that's made from recycled material, a lot of times only a small percentage of it is made from that recycled material. So the biggest impact to reducing plastic would be to completely stop the use of single-use plastics.
And do you think that humans are on the right track to reduce plastic pollution?
I would say that humans are very much the beginning stages of reducing plastic pollution. Only within the last 10 years has there become first awareness about BPA, the chemical, one of the chemicals that's in plastics. And now you've been seeing with a lot of bans on single-use plastic bags, bans that are coming about for plastic straws. Those are just being made, so I think it will take a while to see an impact. And I think you have to have more of a national ban because bans in some states and in some cities are good, but when we're talking globally, there's so much plastic around the globe that still can be dumped.
Companies that make the most plastic. In about 31 companies, they revealed how much plastic they use. The brand Nestle is about 1.7 million tons of plastic use. The brand Colgate uses around 287,000 tons since 2018. This other brand, Unilever, is around 610,000 tons. The brand Coca-Cola produced in 2017, the company didn't reveal the scale of the bottle. The plastic company had to translate them all into 500 milliliters of plastic in the amount of 108 billion bottles each year.
One of the 7 types of toxic plastics is PET. It is commonly found in water and soda bottles. PET is also included in clear packaging as well. PVC has chemicals that can leach onto it that can go into our water and our food that will go straight into our bodies. Polystyrene is structurally weak, and because of that, it can go into our environment, which would eventually end up into our ocean. Bisphenol A is a high toxic known plastic that has been banned by the FDA and is known to be in other plastics. BPA is known to be in baby bottles, which can cause a hormone disruption, which is why it has been banned by the FDA.
HDP is found in sheets and rods for applications of LDP. It's used to fabricate thermoplastics to create equipment such as water tanks and chemical tanks. This type of plastic contains chemicals that are harmful to fetuses and juveniles. LDP is a thermoplastic that does not contain BPA. It can leach estrogen increased chemicals.
Some people may argue that plastic in the ocean has minimal toxicity to marine life, but that's only true if the animals are lucky enough to not encounter plastic that's big enough to kill them. Most animals find plastic that's big enough to kill them because they can't digest plastic and it gets stuck in their gut. Tens of thousands of whales, seals, birds, and turtles are killed every year because they eat plastic and while mistaking it as food such as jellyfish. We humans are also affected by this because fish eat microplastic and we eat the fish that eat the microplastic, so we are potentially eating microplastic as well.
The best way to prevent plastic pollution is to cut out as much plastic as you can in your everyday life. To do this, you can replace plastic with reusable products. Some reusable products that you can use are reusable water bottles, bags, straws, and toothbrushes. If you do use plastic, please pick up after yourself and put it in recycling. Finally, encourage others to do the same. Everyone can make a difference.